This is a long story, as it's been over 5 years in the making. I've actually talked about this story before, but there are some really good internet sleuths here on Reddit, and they were able to figure out ex-beauty queen's identity, and mine too. I don't really care if I give it my identity, but I don't want it to be on my actual account, so I deleted it a while back. The catalyst for me to repost it today on a throwaway is that it's cathartic. Last week, yet another court date for ex-beauty queen stalker came and went. We had been expecting things to proceed with her entering a plea of guilty, or not guilty, but no such luck. All we got was another vague reason as to why she's not ready and a new court date issued, months from now. There have been many court dates since she has been arrested. It's been over 18 months since she had been arrested for continued stalking and harassment, and she still wants to drag things on, to seemingly try and stay relevant in our lives. As an aside, the amount of court resources and taxpayers' money that's wasted is actually really astounding. Anyway, onto the story. To recap, my husband dated a beauty queen, title holder of a well-known pageant before me. They broke up long before we met. She was a statuesque blonde, very tall and a knockout in her day in my opinion. This is somewhat important to the story, I guess. But while she was a dazzling pageant winner on the outside, on the inside, oh boy, she could be charming and beautiful if she needed to. But mostly, she treated people around her terribly, including my husband, and he eventually broke it off with her. But she never went away. She would continue to call and email repeatedly, even after my husband and I had met. If anything, her calls increased. She would call over and over again, day and night, even after my husband, then boyfriend, had blocked her number. She would ask for money, and threatened to go to the police, claiming that he had hurt her if he didn't give it to her. He obviously didn't give her the money, and this made her very upset. The threats increased and became more malicious, but when that didn't work, she would switch up tactics and try and sweetly ask him for help with certain projects she was trying to get up off the ground, or more accurately, have him do the work for her and she'd take the credit, with the promise that, if he did just this last thing for her, she would go away. He didn't reply. She would go back to being malicious then. Any tactic for attention, or for what she really wanted, money. My husband was terrified, because of course, while he never did anything to her, it would be her word over his, and he was terrified of ruining his reputation and career. We unfortunately ended up at an event that she also attended. She had been waiting for us to arrive and had placed herself near the entrance of the event. As we walked in, she stood across the room, looking me up and down, laughing and whispering into the ear of her date, making a point to try and make me uncomfortable. But that was okay. She was easily ignored until she had ambushed me as I came out of the bathroom. She had clearly been waiting for a moment that I was alone. She towered over me. She is very tall, and I had no intention of having it out with her. And as I hurriedly walked to find my husband, she kept pace beside me, hunched over. So she was at my eye level. I'm 5'5". Her head turned towards me. She was like a caricature of herself as she ambled beside me, smiling crazily. "Where's your man?" she hissed in her heavy accent. Her eyes were black. She looked like she was out of a Tim Burton movie, hunched over with that crazy demonic smile. "Watch your back, Pug," she added, grinning. She liked to call me names like Pug because I own pugs, and I guess she thought it was an insult. What I didn't know then was, while I was in the bathroom, she had walked over to my husband and had thrown her arm around him while he was in mid-conversation with someone, and introduced herself to the man he was talking to, as if she and my husband were together. My husband unwrapped himself from her clutches and told her to beat it, She then beelined and waited for me to come out of the washroom. We stopped going to the parties after that. The last time that we ran into her was at a funeral for a mutual friend. She followed me around at the wake. As my husband, boyfriend at the time, was talking to the man's widow, I was talking to a friend and his wife. She walked right up and stood with us, joining us mid-conversation as if she were a part of the group. It was unnerving but also just bizarre. It was a funeral and I didn't want a scene. I silently picked my wine glass off the bar and walked away, leaving her with the couple that I had been speaking to, and her staring at me with a smirk on her face. All in all, it was annoying but still manageable. However, the emails, calls, and everything never stopped. She would call my husband over and over day and night, even though he had long blocked her number. She would drive by. I found my car keyed one night after I left it outside, but obviously I couldn't prove that it was her. But enough was enough. My husband had a lawyer send a cease and desist. After the first, she had called him from a private number. He answered and she said, "Hi, it's me," in a sing-song voice like they were the best of friends, and he hadn't just sent her a lawyer's letter ordering her to stay away from him and his family. He said nothing and hung up. Another cease and desist was sent, and then a third. But nothing would make her go away. She did not actually think my husband was capable of not wanting to be with her, because, you know, her beauty. Eventually, though, she got pissed that he wasn't giving in. So, she decided to take this rage to the internet. I knew that she was absolutely checking out my social media, but I don't really use it much, so I didn't care. However, she created a fake Twitter account and tweeted, "My husband's name is a fraud," and tagged all his colleagues, friends, investors, and family members. Every single person she could think of to try and ruin his reputation and career. On New Year's Eve, she posted on my Instagram account at exactly 12:01 a.m. "Happy New Year's, Scrud." Social media settings were all put to private. We went to the police, armed with the emails threatening to give her money or she would go to the police, and she was charged with 2 counts of harassment, and a restraining order was put into place. To our shock, the next day after her arrest, our phones were buzzing. This story had made the front page news. It was clearly a slow news day. Her day in court came right before everything with the pandemic happened, and we arrived at the courthouse and sat down. She walked in and we were shocked by her appearance. Actually, shocked is an understatement. She was unrecognizable from her former self. Gone was the statuesque, dazzling blonde. She had apparently shaved her head and was wearing a short, ratty brown wig. She had gained about 80 pounds, give or take, and was now sort of hunched. With her height and new girth, she looked like a linebacker. And to add to her new look, she wore a bulky brown men's overcoat and a scarf tied over her wig like a babushka. My immediate thought was, her outside now matches her inside. But it was her eyes that I had noticed the most. About a year earlier, we had shown a photo of her to our kids so that if she ever approached them, they knew to run. At the time, my son, who was young, commented that she had mean eyes. From the mouth of babes. Maybe it was that she had changed so much physically overall, but her dark eyes had narrowed into deep black slits. As she scanned the courtroom and saw us in court, she would turn around every so often to look back at us and glare. She would then whisper in her lawyer's ear and laugh as if she were having a grand time. She had a pair of big, round, cheap sunglasses that she would put on and take off intermittently. When she addressed the judge, she would put them on, and he had asked her to remove them. We thought that she was putting on a brave face and treating it all like a joke, but we were about to find out that getting arrested wouldn't slow her down. The restraining order didn't seem to faze her at all. If anything, it angered her even more. From then on, every day, night and day, she would post from multiple fake social media accounts, posting photos of myself and of my husband. She would put up my husband's photo with horrible captions that included bad things and comments and captions that I can't mention. And she also would post altered and unflattering photos of myself. She would call me old and ugly, and those are just the G-rated ones. Listen, I'm no beauty queen myself. The name calling, while obsessive and gross, wasn't what bothered me most. Although I'm not going to lie, seeing hundreds of photos of myself on her fake Twitter account, calling me ugly and obsessively pointing out every single flaw, did succeed in getting me down at times. Why did I keep looking? Because it was like getting a glimpse into her unraveled mind, just in case it was a clue of what she was capable or thinking of doing next. Because it wasn't her insulting posts that fazed me. What bothered me the most were these sinister captions. Keep an eye on your kids because I'll be watching. Or why don't you plant some flowers in your front yard? Or be good to your kids because you never know what could happen. How was your Uber Eats order? She would post pictures of me with an arrow directed to my head, which I perceived to be a gun to my head. She posted pictures of my husband's workplace, which she was not allowed to be within 2 blocks of, in accordance to the restraining order. But the police said that this could be just a picture she took from the internet. Sigh. She posted Agatha Christie quotes like, "Every killer is usually someone you know well," or "Your end is near." Her Twitter profile banner picture was taken from a movie poster and said "Stalker," like she was in on the joke. We called the police again, but they said that there wasn't anything they could do since she didn't explicitly tag us. I took screenshots of everything though. Many of her posts were nonsensical, but most were photos posted of us on this fake account, all altered with ominous captions, but we just couldn't get her to shut it down. I became anxious anytime my kids were outside shooting hoops in the driveway. My elderly mother wouldn't take the baby out in the stroller. She was too scared. It affected all of our lives. Life became dramatic. Ex-beauty queen would taunt us with, "Catch me if you can." She posted close-ups of her dogs, you-know-what, and a piece of her dog's crap with my name beside it, the implication obvious. It bothered me that she now had a dog, since I don't think someone like her was capable of caring for anything living. And then the calls started back up, this time to our home line. Yeah, I know we still have a home phone. She would just say mean things and then hang up, like karma will get you, and then weird chant-like calls as if she were reciting a spell. Sure enough, she posted photos of a pentagram and candles, and some sort of altar in the caption, "Ring, ring." Finally, and I mean finally, the police asked us to come in and give us video statements. We gave them a drive containing thousands of screenshots of posts that she had made. They arrested her again and charged her with 2 more counts of criminal harassment. My husband was angry at this point, but as Mama Bear, I just wanted to get this over with. She mentioned the kids frequently and ominously many times in her online rants, also calling them rude names, which I won't repeat here, because these are the things that upset me the most. The judge also issued a social media ban for her. By the time that she was rearrested for the second time, her fake Twitter account, which was literally mostly insults or references to my family, had 16,000 tweets in about 3 months. She had no followers, so they were just to herself. The inappropriate sites that I had been being tagged in stopped, and things quieted down tremendously. But I still get follower requests that I believe are her. But at this point, we were all on edge. I kid you not. I felt weird walking into my kitchen at night to make a sandwich, feeling creeped out that she was outside watching. I put nothing past her, as nothing is more dangerous than a desperate woman who has nothing to lose, which, by the way, was one of the quotes that she had posted. I don't know what is wrong with her, but I believe from what I've researched that she is a malignant narcissist. Perhaps some other mental issues are at play here. but I can say that she was a terrible person long before she decided to try and make our lives miserable. Just a crazy beauty queen turned stalker. I would love nothing more than to never meet her again. But if going to court helps you stay away from us forever, then bring it. As an aside, I wanted to mention that we heard from a reliable source that after my husband had broke up with her, she had become well known to the police for other reasons. While my husband dodged a bullet regarding her threats to go to the police saying that he had abused her, apparently other men have not been so lucky. Since I can't post pictures, I'll leave you with one of her posts. One that may not make much sense, but to us, it was a statement to let us know that she enjoys this drawn-out court process. Many of her posts are in her native language, so this is translated. Violent women and the cruelest never answer questions. They like to continue the misunderstanding indefinitely, so I seek to contact people only in order to torment them. My cruelty is my last attachment to the world, and my last chic. In December 2018, my ex and I split up after 7 years in a relationship. I was new to the dating game, so I didn't just want to jump back into it. In February, I met a guy at the bar that we regular. The second time that I met him, we exchanged phone numbers. By the end of March, I was feeling pretty comfortable and I invited him to a party at my house. He had stayed after the party and one thing led to another. Well, after it was all said and done, I had a weird vibe. He was too pushy and it really made me uncomfortable, and so I asked him to leave. I planned to never speak to him again. That is until he started to text me from random phone numbers. He would say things like, "Hope you have fun fishing," when I didn't post on any social media that I was going fishing. I hope the movie was good, when I hadn't posted anything online that I was at the movies. He would text me and ask me where in the bar I was at, different bars when I never told anyone or posted where we were going. We had no mutual friends, so he was following me. The final straw was when my friends took me to Washington, D.C. for my 25th birthday celebration, and we bar hopped all over the city. Around 2:30 in the morning, we came out of the last bar that we were at and decided to get cookies across the street. As we were coming out of the cookie shop, guess who pops up? You guessed it, he does. He goes, "I hope blank and blank and blank were fun. I wanted to say hi earlier since you haven't been replying to my messages, but I didn't want to freak you out." I was terrified. My friend's husband thankfully stepped in and called him out and threatened to call the cops. I changed my phone number and moved. Thankfully, I haven't heard from him since. Update. After all the comments saying that I should still reach out to the police, and that he could still be stalking me, I decided that it was probably best to do that. I contacted my local police, and they advised me to contact the police where I had previously lived. I did so, and I still live close enough that I went on Tuesday to file the paperwork for a restraining order. Thankfully, I know his full name and his place of employment so that they will be able to locate him. I provided all the text messages and screenshots that I have, and now we will wait for him to be served. It'll only be a temporary 15-day restraining order. It will be extended because our local courthouse docket is on a staggered schedule due to the virus. So, once we've been given a court date, we will go. I was told by the sheriff that it shouldn't be an issue getting a judge to approve a restraining order for 2 years with all the evidence that I have, and the testimony from my friends who had witnessed all these events. Thank you all so much for the advice.